I graduated from Solebury last year, and I'm Camille LeBlanc, by the way. I spent the last 8 months in Bahia, Brazil, working, living, and apprenticing, and trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. So throughout high school, I was always sort of looking for this moment of inspiration, this moment of like falling into a moment that made me that inspired me to act. And whether that was through a film or a novel or a story, I was always searching for this feeling that would make me want to go out and do something real. And so I lived in these alternate realities that brought me to different worlds and different cultures. And I loved that feeling, but I was in high school. And so I really felt like I needed to test the basis of these affinities by going out into the world and seeing what I could learn from it. I wanted to test my will to give. I wanted to see what the world could teach me and how I could affect change. And so I graduated high school, and I decided to postpone college for a year. I found this program called Global Citizen Year, which takes high school graduates and immerses them in a family and an apprenticeship for 8 months in Brazil, Ecuador, and Senegal. I decided around this time last year that I was going to go live in Bahia, Brazil, in a city called Salvador. And so last summer, I spent all this time like imagining this African, European, Latin American paradise of drum circles and painted alleyways and all these amazing, vibrant, colorful aspects of culture and life. And I learned about Salvador. Salvador's a city of nearly 3 million people. This is a photo of flying into the city. It's America's historically America's largest slave port, and it remains the blackest city outside of Africa. It was this fusion of cultures, this history of resilience and empowerment, and I could not wait to arrive there and feel immersed in this beat and rhythm and life of colors and vibrancy. So when I got to Bahia, I was pretty quickly stunned by the reality that was very different than what I had imagined. The city was crowded. It was chaotic and dirty. It was polluted. The public transportation system was super ineffective. I felt like I was spending half my day on public transportation, on the bus, stuck in traffic. I didn't know how to create my own identity in this place where I just felt so far away from life there and who I was in this foreign place. I was set to apprentice at this organization called Bagansasu. It's a youth cultural organization that uses art education to empower and sort of reinstill the identities and self-esteems of Afro-Brazilian kids. This was the neighborhood where my apprenticeship was and where I was originally living in the beginning. It's a neighborhood called Alagados, which means flood, because it's built on a precarious marine landfill. 20 years ago, the houses in this neighborhood were shacks built on stilts floating over the ocean. Since, they've dumped landfill into the water, basically creating land out of water, bringing all these homes up to ground level, but making it an area that's prone to flooding and a very polluted region and one of the city's poorest and most neglected neighborhoods. While combating scenery like this just goes to show what a contradictory sort of ambiguous place this state and country is. This was the view from outside of my window. So Bagansasu was where I was supposed to create change. That was my new home. They were young kids, but due to major financial instability, this home for the community was not so reliable. They were often closed and their hours were sporadic. And even more so, they lacked the internal infrastructure to support me as a volunteer. So I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who I was here. I struggled with creating change. How could I create change? What was change? And was it valuable? And what could I contribute? I had just come from high school. I maybe could write a pretty decent research paper, but when it came to expressing myself in a foreign language, or even knowing who I was to express, I was lost. I struggled with my own introversion and my own insecurities, and didn't know how to come across in this new language who I was in a new society, and my imperfect and my subjunctive and my past tense, and how to string all these different aspects of myself together into someone who was actually doing real work that was meaningful here. And I felt bogged down in this city of nearly 3 million people. I felt resistant to cultural tendencies and like nauseated by inefficiency. And then I felt I couldn't find that art that had driven me there. That moment of inspiration was lost. And I felt like I had hit a major roadblock. And for the first time, I felt like a cynic, which is something that I had never felt in myself before. But I knew that I had to do something about that. I knew that in order to make this a valuable experience for myself, I had to step out of my own comfort zone. I had to create something for myself. And so I decided to start this project. I started this community garden space in an area that really lacked health, lacked access to healthy food and fresh vegetables. I decided to partner up with my close friend and fellow Global Citizen Year fellow, Ava Hoffman, and start this project, community space, outdoor space. And together we did this. We did a little recycling movement in the community, got the kids involved, and created a cool space. But I still wasn't totally fulfilled or satisfied. I still wasn't feeling that moment of inspiration. And I didn't feel it until I started this project called Girls with Cameras, and that appeared in my life. And this is a photo of my partner who I'm developing this project with, Gabrielle Williams. And together we're developing this project it's a participatory photography project to empower Afro-Brazilian girls to combat the single story that the Brazilian society puts out of the early pregnancies and the poor Afro-Brazilian girl, and combat it with true, real stories from their own perspectives through photography, through digital storytelling. And it's a curriculum that combines leadership and communication skills and art to create girls who can advocate for their own communities and tell their own stories. And all of a sudden, everything changed. That moment of inspiration came back, and I started to find positivities in every previous frustration. These are some shots of the film, the campaign film that we made in order to help us raise funds for our project. I started meeting artists who were giving everything they could to make the world a better place. And I felt like I started learning that what I saw in the world was all about what I saw, and whether a social opportunity that was really uncomfortable and nerve-wracking was uncomfortable and nerve-wracking, or was an opportunity to challenge myself and grow, to put myself out there, to really try and communicate in another language and be more direct, be more upfront, be interactive and more talkative, and all these things that I felt like weren't my identity but forced me to be tough and to put myself out there, became valuable lessons instead of things that were foreign and I couldn't deal with. And that's when I was living with a host family, but I was also living fairly independently, and I needed to make a life for myself in this new place. I needed to push myself in a new language, and I started to do that, and it taught me so many things. And I began to not only push myself socially and in my work and to find meaning in everything, but I started to get into the lifestyle there that had its own valuable aspects. I started to value simplicity in everything, like Bahians do, and to see simple beauty in everyday occurrences. I learned to value dance and music, and despite hardship and challenge, to put that at the forefront, the art of living, the art of coming alive, and feeling that no matter what happens at work or during the day, that there's the highest priority is to create a space where you can go out there and enjoy the simple beauties of life. Most importantly, perhaps, I learned that people live all kinds of ways, that the world is a big place, and that no matter how comprehensible it may seem from afar, the reality of life, the reality of taking a cold bucket shower, or of not having healthy food, or sleeping on the floor, not having an education, are things that are intangible from afar, and that even art often does not even fully capture. And that's something that only being there, only living it, is able to teach you. But despite that, Brazilians are able to have fun, able to appreciate that life is more than that. And so with that, I went out. I feel like I spent this past year not really knowing what direction I wanted to go in, where I was going. And I felt like I went out and I did the things that I wanted to do. I put myself out there. I made powerful human connections. I gave, and I don't know if I did them well. I think a lot of the time I didn't. But I feel like I'm now in the process of sort of redefining my passions. I found a lot of things that I really strongly believe in. I feel like I'm in the process of redefining what those things are and how they affect my life. And however that realizes itself, I think that by finding what it is that we're passionate about, we are making a better world, and we're creating a better place. And that's what I want to just talk about, that concept of finding what it is that we love, going out, taking time for ourselves, and finding that thing that we love, and fully immersing ourselves in that. And whatever comes from that teaches us that there is more that we can do. And for me, I've learned that I cannot live a passionate life that's devoid of art, and I cannot live a passionate life that's devoid of giving. And on one hand, art is giving, and giving is art. And that's what this year has proven to me by all the people who I've met who positively perpetuate that. And that's the way I want to go forth, and I'm figuring out the ways in which I can do that. And I just want to encourage everyone, and also keep eating acai, Brazilian snack that's delicious. To just take some time and go do the thing that you've always wanted to do. For whatever it is, that's what makes the world a better place, by engaging in the things that challenge us, engaging in the things, bringing our own energy and positivity and vibrancy to what it is that we do. Being better humans are what makes the world better. And so with that, I just want to leave everyone with a quote by Howard Thurman. Don't worry about what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and do that, because what the world needs are people who have come alive. Thank you.